Yay, it actually told me that. It told me that my mic was muted. Sorry. Okay, I am Dana K. White. I am here to talk about decluttering. I am answering some questions today about modifications for health challenges, about living with someone who has hoarding disorder, just different things along those lines, but lots of other things. I'm going to take questions, or I'm going to be answering questions that have been asked ahead of time for the first part of this video, and then I will take questions from those of you who are watching live. I do want to make sure you know, in case you have been saying to someone in your life who wants to buy you a Christmas present, I don't know, I just don't need any more stuff. I'm trying to get rid of stuff. Maybe take your house back. This is your year. You can actually purchase this for someone as a gift. Just scroll down, go to aslobcomesclean.com/take. That's the link for that. And then scroll down to the bottom and it tells you how to purchase a gift certificate. So, or just get it for yourself so that you're ready. We do have an all-day declutter coming up January 13th. And the sale price that is going on right now is through January 10th, I believe. But get it right now so that you don't forget, okay? All right. We're going to talk about some health issues. This is a common struggle that I get questions about a lot, so I think it'll be helpful. What I will do is I will read the actual question as it was written, and then what you see there is an abbreviated version. Okay. I need help with modifications for lower back mobility problems. How can you clean when you can hardly walk or carry things, but need to be able to at least do the minimum? Okay. This is a great question, and it is a legitimate struggle. Okay. So the main thing I'm going to focus on here is reducing the effort required for the minimum. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago where I had not washed my hair in a week and looked pretty scary. But oh well, that's the video that's done better than any other video I've ever done. More quickly than any other video. So it is called the layers of a clean house. Okay. And in that video, I explain that what I used to think of as cleaning was making it harder for me to clean. Okay. And by acknowledging and realizing through doing, okay, that what is actual cleaning was not as hard as I was making it because okay, so you can go watch the video, but let me just say, I used to think that cleaning meant digging my way out from the mess of things that I had not been taking care of daily, like I should have been taking care of daily, and moving a whole bunch of stuff out of the way. I thought of all of that plus the wiping and the spraying and the scrubbing and the mopping and the dusting. I thought of all that together as cleaning. And so cleaning was so incredibly overwhelming to me. Okay. When I realized, oh, the daily stuff is its own thing and it does not count as cleaning. Oh, no, I get it, right? Okay. When you have to catch up, you have to catch up. But the reality was when I started doing things daily, they took so much less effort than I ever thought that they would take. And they significantly decreased the effort required and the energy required for actual cleaning. Okay. I know, go watch the video, but it made cleaning so much less physically exhausting when I kept up with the daily stuff. But the mindset shift is what's so hard here, because I always thought that it didn't make sense and I didn't have the time or the energy to do these things daily because I was like taking the effort that I spent cleaning and dividing it and saying, okay, well, then that means that, if I clean every 2 weeks and it's so difficult, then I don't have the energy every single day to do 1/14 of that cleaning, except that's not how it works, right? Like it just was made so much more enormous and daunting and all that. And I feel like I'm making no sense today. But anyway, that changing how I did things daily made it so much easier to do the cleaning. But then the big key that I'm going to talk about here is the more I decluttered, the easier all of that was. And when I say decluttering, I mean like actually getting stuff out of my house. Now, this is hard, right? Okay, now this question is specifically about cleaning. So I'm talking about how do we make cleaning easier? We make it easier through decluttering, okay? The more stuff that actually left my house, the easier it was to clean, okay? Because you already have lower back and mobility problems. Therefore, you don't want to waste energy, right? You don't want to waste movement because you're going to have to stop sooner than maybe somebody else would anyway. So as you are able and rethinking, this is the point of the decluttering that I'm doing. Everything that leaves my house is going to make it easier to do the cleaning, because the beauty of getting the daily stuff under control so that it's not overwhelming anymore and I'm not catching up on it on cleaning day, and getting stuff out of my house so that I'm not moving all this stuff around and you know, shifting things into different places so that I can clean under them, and then they eventually, you know, or quickly, you know, come back into that space that I was cleaning, which makes me feel like, what was the point of cleaning? It still looks terrible. You know, all those types of things. Getting the decluttering out meant that when I cleaned, I could make a much bigger impact in a much shorter time with so much less effort. Okay. So really focusing in on that and saying, I'm going to really focus on making the minimum highly effective by keeping up with the daily stuff, okay, with as much as I can with my energy. I'm going to keep up with the daily stuff. And then I am also going to, when I have the energy or I have the resources and maybe somebody helping me or whatever, I'm going to get stuff out of my house. It is going to make the cleaning so much easier, okay? Now, I'm not saying it's going to make it easy, right? And it may be difficult, and but having this mindset shift will make it easier for you to make an impact, and it will change how you see that. The other beauty of that is that as I get stuff out of my house, I can go longer and my house still look okay, right? Okay. Go longer between like deep cleanings is what I mean. All right. Y'all know I love this question, right? Okay, let me read the whole thing. I really want to apply the no mess decluttering method, but there are areas I think absolutely have to be completely emptied to sort through. What do I do? Do you have a way to deal with these? Yes, the no mess decluttering method. Anyway, for example, a basket drawer in my wardrobe that has become a junk drawer but didn't start that way literally has every possible type of thing in it and mostly small stuff. I get completely overwhelmed just looking at the drawer. Totally understand that. I can't see garbage or obvious donate. I just see tons of stuff that I apparently want. Okay, this is a fantastic question because I think there are a lot of people who are watching right now, who are watching because they're all in, because they have done this method and they know it works, who were once exactly where you are, okay? There are also other people who are like, I'm trying to get this understood completely before I get started, who are thinking the same thing that you're thinking, which is, okay, I really want to zero in here on, I really want to apply the no mess decluttering method, but there are areas I think absolutely have to be completely emptied to sort through. What's happening here is that you are trying to play out in your mind how it's going to go. I get that because that is me. So many times when I put off doing something in my home, it's because I was trying to do it in my head before I did it in reality. And doing that, when I got overwhelmed in the midst of doing it in my head, I was like, and I just gave up before I ever got started. In the meantime, it kept getting worse and it kept getting worse and it kept getting worse. And that made me feel more overwhelmed, which made it harder to get started. So all of that was just this big snowball of overwhelm, and my house never got any better, right? Okay. So what I'm going to say is, if you think there are certain areas that this could not possibly work, do the method in the areas where you're like, okay, maybe this could work here. Do that, right? Try the no mess method. And when I say the no mess method, I mean follow the actual steps. I have videos here. I have free printables at aslobcomesclean.com/5, FIVE. You can get the printable. Read Decluttering at the Speed of Life. Check it out from your library. Get the audiobook, whatever. Follow the actual process on a space where you're like, okay, well, maybe it could work there. It can't possibly work there, but maybe it could work here. Do it there. See how it works. Experience the power of moving forward and only forward, of progress and only progress. Y'all can't hear me, right? Okay. Yeah. Really move. Just try it. Okay. It works. That junk drawer that you are talking about, the no mess method is built for that situation, because that was me in every space in my home. Everything was overwhelming. Everything was random. Everything felt like I needed to keep it. And that's why I developed this method, so that I could break through that and do it in a way where I wasn't going to defeat myself before I even got started by pulling everything out of the space. Okay. Just try it. Just try it. Okay. And remember too, another thing that you said in this was, I can't see garbage or obvious donate. Then we skip it. Okay. If you're like, I got to look for trash, but if you can't see it, you move to the next step. You don't have to say, there's probably trash in here. Why can't I see it? Oh no, we're not going to do that. All right. You just go, okay, is there any trash in here? I don't see any trash. All right, let me move to the next thing. Easy stuff. Does anything that has landed in this space have a home somewhere else? I'm going to look for that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Why are these things in here? Okay. Because you just said it's kind of drifted, stuff's drifted in there. So if things have a home somewhere else, you take those to the home. Every time you come back to the space and there's a little bit less in it than there was before, it's a little less overwhelming. Okay. And then you go, okay, any dead donations? Ask yourself, even though you're convinced there's not going to be, go ahead and ask yourself. There might be, there might not. That's fine. Move to the next step. The next step is every last thing in that drawer. You pick it up and you ask yourself, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? And then you take it there and you go item by item by item. Yeah. Item by item. Because if you pull everything out of the space, what is it that you were going to do? You were going to sort through and you were going to decide which things can. We're just doing this in a way where you're not going to end up with all this stuff that is, you just called it a junk drawer. Okay. Things that have randomly drifted there. All this stuff spread out in the closet, making you feel even more overwhelmed and shutting down. Okay. So we're doing this way. So I'm just telling you, the no mess method is designed for this. But as with anything, if the one certain space overwhelms you, don't let that keep you from getting started. Say, okay, that space is too overwhelming. I'm going to start over here first. As you start on whatever space you think it could work in, but it works in all of them, I promise, if you follow it. As you work in another space, you will start to see and understand, because you'll be taking it out of your head and playing through how this is all going to go. And you'll see how it actually works in real life. And then you're going to get on board. I mean, I hear from people, and I hear of people all the time who are like, I didn't think it would work. I tried it anyway. Oh my word, it works. Nobody says I tried it and it doesn't work. They go, I tried it and I can't believe how well this works, because it works. It's guaranteed to work if you actually do it. It's not guaranteed to work if you make your own little whatever. Okay, here we got another one about chronic stuff. Okay. Do you have advice for someone like me that suffers with chronic fatigue and rheumatoid arthritis health issues? I think that's what that stands for. If I'm wrong, I'm sure you'll correct me. There's no way I can carry one thing to its place at a time. Okay. Again, don't let what you know to be true keep you from getting started, because remember that you will make a lot of progress just with the okay, I didn't read the whole question, did I? I want to make sure I do read that, because sometimes it reveals more things. Let's see. Loving, okay, yeah, that was basically it. Loving your approach. Do you have advice for someone like me? I'm already tired when I start the decluttering process. Great. Okay, so remember that trash requires no movement. Donations require no movement. And you can skip anything at any time and still make progress. So with easy stuff, what in here is easy, you identify it and deal with the things that don't require you moving, because so many times, the place where I would look for something first, or the already established home, is actually close enough that I'm not going to have to make a big trek across the house. Okay. I will be able to put things in their actual space without moving. So that, and with everything that I do that with, I'm making progress. Okay. So try it and skip anything that's going to require you going far. You're going to make progress. And then give it a try with one thing, because here's the other thing too. Here's one of my little quotes. This is specifically talking about take your house back. Okay. And this is a quote that somebody, had given us as a, yes, to tell people about this course. I have many, which in the course, we do the no mess method. That's what we do. That's the decluttering method that we follow. I have many chronic health challenges, and for the first time, I'm getting my house together. It works. And the reason that I say this is, y'all, I didn't decide on this method and then say, okay, I want everybody in the world who has health challenges that I don't have, I want you to use this. I was just sharing what I was doing, and I came up with the method, and I started hearing from people saying, I have chronic health issues. I have chronic fatigue. I have, mobility issues, blah, blah. And that is why this method works so well for me. And the reason is, okay, and this is from them telling me, this is not me pulling out of my butt. Sorry, I shouldn't say that on live TV or YouTube, whatever we are. I'm just saying that the reason that other people who are in your situation explain to me that this works is the whole progress and only progress, and never a worse mess. Okay. You can stop at any time. You can take one item to its home and be done, because you have never made little piles. And if there's so much value in that item being in its actual home, and you never have to think about it again. Even though the space isn't done, you've made real, actual, unbacktrackable progress. And so with a little bit of energy, you're not half doing anything. You're only doing a little bit all the way. And that is what really moves your house forward, to get it to the point where you personally, it fits for your personal unique situation. Okay. So anyway, I know it's hard. But in so many of these, we have a lot of, I'm playing this out in my mind of how it's going to go. And what I'm going to say is follow the method the way that it's actually designed and see, does it work? Try taking it there right now. Like I said, I hear from people all the time who are like, I resisted it. I tried it. Oh my word, this changes everything. This is amazing. So just try it. But no, you can skip at any time. We had a video it's been probably a month and a half now at least, where, we had someone who could not move around, and yet she made so much progress using the method, not changing the method and doing it differently because she had the, health challenges and couldn't move around, but really really following the method and just doing what she could without moving around, and made huge progress, but doing it in the no mess way, okay? Where she's skipping things and yet we made huge progress. Okay. Okay. I love this question right here too. Let's see. I've done a lot of decluttering over the last several years, and I'm happy with my fairly minimal home, and my inventory is under my clutter threshold. However, I'm moving to a larger, double my current size, historic home with tons of storage, walk-in closets in every bedroom, giant coat closet, butler's pantry. How fun is that? Etc. And I'm worried that I will fill up the space overwhelmed. What's the best way to keep stuff from creeping in and accumulating? Okay, it's really to go with the and embrace the where would I look for it first, and acknowledge, oh, I wouldn't actually go looking for this. Okay, and incredibly purposeful as you bring things in. If you are already minimal, that's what they had said, you've got things under your clutter threshold, and you're moving to a house twice the size, just move what you have, put it in the place where you would look for it first, which is a little feeling when you're in a new home. I did it as well. And I'm kind of like, where would I look for this first in this house where I have never looked for this item? But I could still come up with a thing, and that was the instinct, and I went with that and it worked, right? But go ahead and do that just with the stuff, and then be very slow about bringing anything else into the house. And as you bring things into the house, if you are under your clutter threshold, like say, I'm going to live with this for a while. I am not going to buy something new to fill up space. I am just going to live in my space for, I don't know, a month, 2 months, or till after, till summertime next year, whatever. I'm going to live in this space for a while so that I can really figure out what I actually need. Like, I'm going to let spaces be completely empty until I really figure out what I actually need. I may decide, oh, I like that space being completely empty. Or I might decide, okay, I actually need this. For me, I bought a bookshelf. I think we had been in this house right around a year when I bought a bookshelf, because I was like, I think I can do without it, even though I kind of missed having the space that I had, I'd had an equivalent bookshelf in my old house that was built in. So it didn't come with us, obviously. And I lived for a while, and I decided, no, I really do want a place to display those things that I had displayed in my old house. So I'm going to buy a bookshelf. But I waited a year, right? So I waited. So I recommend that you just give yourself time, and anything that comes into the house, you already are thinking, where will I look for this first? Where is this item going to go in my new house? Okay. And then I, walk to that space before you even buy the item and be like, okay, where would I look for this first? I would go here. Oh, I already have one. Or, oh, actually, I don't want to put that there, whatever. But just really embrace that, knowing where you're going to put something before you even bring it into the house. And then over time, you'll either get used to, you'll either identify what you really do need and where you would look for it, or probably you're going to get used to empty spaces. I really like it. Okay, here we go. Let me read the whole question. Do you have any advice for those living with a hoarder? I do know that it's a mental illness and he's not in any kind of therapy. He just doesn't tolerate empty surfaces very well. As soon as I clear off a counter or a table, he puts stuff there. Okay, what I would do is really, first, I want to acknowledge that this is a hard situation. Like, I'm not going, oh, just do this and you'll be fine. You're in a difficult situation, but obviously you know that this relationship is the most important thing, right? Like, your relationship with this person. So you have to be sensitive to the fact and the struggles and all that kind of stuff. But what I would do is focus on some of your spaces that you can give a real identity to. Okay. Maybe it's your workspace, your desk, if you're the one who does the cooking, the kitchen counter, like really focus in on the function of that space and be willing for it to be a very, limited, defined space, but focus in on defining that space. Okay. And let it have some time, give it some time for some adjustment there of this space. So really focus in on that, because I know sometimes it's like I work on all this different stuff and then, everything kind of just gathers its own stuff again. But really focus in on, I am making this a daily priority to me, to this desk that I have. I am going to focus in on that space and, getting out the daily things. Oh, this is my, this item that was on my desk. Where would you look for it first? And then going and putting it there. Oh, well, I know you'd look for it first on my desk. Laughter gets a lot, like, I know you're looking for it first on my desk, but I'm really trying to keep that workspace so that I can work there easily. Okay, so where would you look for it first? That kind of thing. I don't know if that was helpful or not, but anyway. I think there was one more question that I was going to ask. I thought it was marked, but it's not. Anyway, the question was about, I'm hosting a book club in January and chose Decluttering at the Speed of Life as our book. Yay. In the last few years, I've listened to it over and over and all the other things. I love and believe in your process. I have used it in my own home and helped some of my friends with their spaces. Do you have any ideas or tips for hosting a book club with your book? I asked them to try it and come with their review. I offered to help people tackle a space using your method so they can see it in action. Any other thoughts or suggestions? Yeah. So what I would do is probably, focus the book club around the 5 steps, like asking, whatever kind of discussion questions you come up with, focusing in on the 5 steps to keep it from turning into just a general discussion about decluttering. Especially if you're doing this in January, that's when everybody's decluttering bananas in the world. Okay. They're not decluttering their bananas. They are bananas for decluttering, just to be clear, in case anybody was confused. But focus in on, like, let's talk about step 1, trash, and, different areas of your home. Like what can you see being, maybe they haven't applied it or not, but, what can you see being the trash in the living areas or the thing? What'd you think about what she said about that? Focus in on the steps, because so many times, especially people show up and they haven't actually read the book. So many times when people just hear decluttering, what do? Well, they just think, oh, well, you have to pull everything out of the space first. It's like, no, we don't do that. Okay. So to keep it from devolving into that, is devolving, I don't know, whatever, I'm using that word. To keep it from going in that direction, really focus in on, talking through each of the steps. That's just off the top of my head what I would say. Okay, I'm going to take some questions from those of you who are watching live. If you have already asked a question, I would ask that you maybe ask it again so that I make sure I see it, and put some question marks at the front of it. Okay. Every time I start getting the mess under control, something throws me off and I end up starting over. Last time the kitchen sink broke and I couldn't do dishes. How do you deal with life happening? Great question. The main thing to remember is that if you have been actually getting stuff out of your house with decluttering, then when life happens and you get back on track, you're not dealing with the stuff that you've gotten out of your house. Okay. Because so many times what would happen with me is I would be doing great and I'd be feeling like I was holding on with my fingernails, like, okay, I'm doing this. And then life would happen. It would go right back to being completely out of control, completely overwhelming. And it was because I hadn't actually been decluttering. I hadn't been getting stuff out of the house. But as I decluttered, then life would happen. It would look like it was out of control. And I would think, oh no, I'm back to where I was before. It's just as bad as it was before. But that time, because I'd been decluttering, as I would work on the space, I would be like, oh, this is easy this time, because it's just stuff that's out of place, because things actually had homes and spaces to be in those homes. And because of the work I'd been doing with decluttering. And so it was like, oh, I thought I was back to square one. I wasn't actually back to square one. I was instead, I don't know, the thought just left my brain. Instead, I was like back to things being under control in so much less time because there was just less stuff. And in those moments where life throws you, a curveball, I think that's how you should use that word. I'm not a baseball person, but the kitchen sink broke and you couldn't do dishes. Okay. So whatever the thing was that you had to do, whether that was get paper plates, whether that was, you know, do the dishes in a different sink in the house somewhere else. It's like we minimize. Okay, well, we are only going to use one plate each, or I am going to cook all of my meals during this time with one single big skillet. Like that's just the kind of meals that we're going to have. That's all we can do right now because that is all I can handle during this time. Okay. Let's see this question here. If you're going to build a house, any ideas to figure out how to have the right amount of storage versus too much and leaving room for clutter? Okay, so so just so you know, I am the personality, like to me, my worst nightmare is designing a home. Like I know there are people who absolutely love that idea. And to me, that is overwhelming when I think about the number of decisions. I mean, we're having our bathroom remodeled soon. And the thought of choosing light fixtures and sink handles and stuff that gets other people excited, it completely overwhelms me. And I'm like, just give me the most basic, whatever. So, so this is one of those things that I'm never going to do, right? Like I just give me somebody else's house, I'll move in and I'll adjust, right? But according to that, I would say think according to function and how you want to live in that house. The first thing I would do right now is to declutter the house that you have, embrace the realities of the space that you have, which just going through that process and finding your clutter threshold in the space that you have is going to make it so much easier for you to know what you need in the next one, because you won't be thinking of it as, oh, the next house, that's the house where it's going to be easier. It's never going to be easier in the next house unless you just go ahead and embrace the reality of the house that you're in right now. So I would really focus in on decluttering right now. Where would I look for this first? Oh, I would never look for it. Then it's going to leave my house. Okay. So get rid of anything that doesn't function and fit in the current house, and then live with that for a while. I don't know what kind of timeline you're on. And that's going to give you a much better idea of what you need in the next space. Let's see. Motivation to do the daily things. We feel like we live in the kitchen now some days. Also, thank you for sharing the project mindset. Beginning, middle, end can relate, natural tendency as well. Yes, so the project brain, that's what a lot of us have. That's what I have. Motivation to do daily things. For me, the motivation comes from non-committally doing it today and then non-committally doing it tomorrow, meaning I'm not thinking ahead to, it's like that. What I always say is consistency is not the way to get started. Like thinking about how I am going to, okay, I've just got to be consistent. I just need to be consistent at this. This is what's going to make the difference. Consistency will make the difference. And yet when I'm thinking ahead to that, it's very overwhelming when I haven't even done it today. So I'm like, I'm just going to do this today, see the impact that it makes, embrace the impact that it makes today, do it again tomorrow, see the impact of doing it 2 days in a row. Oh, okay, that was easier than it was yesterday. Oh, wow. Okay, now I'm actually, it doesn't seem quite as starkly strange for me to have a clean kitchen. Okay, do it again tomorrow. Oh, wow. That was nice. That went really quick. And I'm starting to get the hang of this. Like focus in on the value of just what you're doing today. And then tomorrow say, okay, instead of, oh no, I've got to keep up with this or it's all out the window, whatever, say, I'm going to focus in on the value of what I'm going to do today and start to experience the power of daily stuff. I don't know. We'll see. so many choices. It's so overwhelming. Okay. Hi, Dana. I have a small corner of my apartment designated for my tiny home office. I have art supplies, pens, limited office supplies. How do I decide what kind of container to use for them? The first thing I would do is use whatever you've got now. So that might be a Velveeta box. I don't know. I've heard that there are places outside of Texas where they don't eat as much Velveeta as we do, but whatever. But they're great little boxes for, containers. I would use something that you already have, a cup, bowl, box, whatever. We've all got boxes these days, right? Use what you already have to go with, okay, this is the desk that I have. So this is the container of the office. On this desk, the first thing that I need is room to work. So that's the first thing that deserves space, okay? And so I can't have anything that lives permanently in that amount of space. So that leaves this much space over here. Okay, I'm going to use what I've got. So I'm not buying any container at this point. I'm going to use what I already have within that space. The desk itself is a container. Workspace gets first priority in the container. And then with what's left, I'm going to, use what I've got, live with it for a while, just using that space and saying, okay, I have room here for 3 coffee mugs that can serve as supply containers. All right. So this one gets this kind of supplies, and I'm not looking for a way to keep all my stuff. I am trying to embrace the reality of this space. That's the container concept. So I put my art pens in this one. This is the space that I have for those. I'm going to put my favorite ones in there first. Anything else has to go. Live with it for a while in this space, and then you're going to know what actual kind of container would be most helpful for you in that space. All right. Let's see. My partner and I have so many dirty clothes all over the floor. I have 7 bags bagged up too. Should I just get rid of the clothes if they've been bagged for a year? We obviously haven't missed them. Yeah, sure. I think that'd be great. Yeah, if you're able to do that, then yeah, throw them away. Don't donate dirty clothes. But there is a chapter in Decluttering at the Speed of Life that specifically talks through, your bedroom and decluttering your bedroom, and kind of talks through, the process for this. Oh, I already did that one. I am needing to clean the guest room before we have company next month. I'm afraid that I don't have enough time, and often I have so much work to do. The times I plan to work on it get delayed because I am doing other work for my businesses. I have 3 businesses. Okay. So, no mess process is going to be even more important for you because you have so many things going on, and you will only be able to work in a certain amount of times. As you work on that space, think this purpose of this space is to be a guest room. So anything that doesn't contribute to this being a guest room needs to leave this space. But that doesn't mean I stick it somewhere else. It means I ask, where would I look for this first? If this guest room was functioning as an actual guest room, where would I look for this first? Okay. I have a video coming up soon about my guest room because I finally have a guest room after 20 something years. Anyway, where would I look for this item first? Okay. I take it to that space. Is there room for it in that space or not? Okay, then what am I willing to get rid of to make room for it? Or does this thing just need to leave my house because it doesn't actually fit there and I'm not willing to get rid of something else? So just item by item, little by little, with any amount of time that you have, do things in a way where you're not putting yourself in a worse position, because that is the thing that in the midst of busyness and craziness of life ends up happening if you're not following the no mess process. Okay, let's see here. Do you have any suggestions about getting rid of university stuff after graduating? I have kept my notes and books for years, and some are useful. However, I am overwhelmed by the amount. Yes, so I consider this identity clutter. I had a blog post years ago where I went through this exact process. Okay. The first thing that I would say to do is to non-committally give yourself permission to look through it and see if there's anything that could go, but you're not committing to it. Okay. But just look through the things, because look for trash. I found like stuff that I don't even know. I don't remember what it was. You can go back and read the post, but it's like, I found enough stuff in there to go from a box about this much to a box like this. Okay. And then you go through the container concept process and you say, okay, what space in my home do I have that I don't need to be using for other stuff that I'm actually using in my real everyday life? What space in my home do I have to devote to this stuff? And if that is a shelf in the closet, you go, okay, that is the space that I have. So I'm going to take the stuff that's been, shoved in the guest room, right? And pick my favorite things first and put them on the shelf. Just the act of doing that often means I'm not even going to fill that shelf. That's not even the thing. Just the act of going, does it deserve space here? Nope, nope, nope. And that will make it easier to get rid of stuff. Where when I'm just looking at it and going, what should I get rid of? It's hard. But when you go, what deserves space in this, on the shelf, it just changes things. But if you do get to the point where that's full, it's like, let that be the container, the deciding factor. And you say, I would love to keep all of this stuff. All of this stuff represents a time in my life, represents a certain phase of my identity, who I used to be, whatever. And yet the space that I have is the space that I have. And I'm not going to let those things take up the space that I actually need for the right now life that I'm living, right? Because if keeping the university stuff makes it to where I don't have the room to cook dinner, then that right now life of needing to cook dinner, that's what deserves priority over that other stuff. Okay. Had a rough year, lots of shop therapy. Had some success myself, but now need tips on Hub's moving a bunch from his storage unit. He's been supportive, but learning. I would just make sure that you keep going on your own stuff instead of, it said I had some success myself. I would keep on focusing on your own stuff and neutral stuff. And he will learn a lot from watching you. He will learn that what you're doing is working. He will learn that it's easier to live in a house with less stuff. It's easier to manage less stuff, not have to worry about it. And that will make it easier for him. But I would say keep on focusing on your stuff. And then as he asks questions, you have more and more experience to be able to say, here's how the process works. Look for trash, but anytime you're working with another person, just go through the 5 steps of the process. High school yearbooks. That's a similar answer to the one that was talking about university stuff. And that is, what space do you have in your home for high school yearbooks that is not using up the space, taking up the space that you need for actual everyday things? And then you let that be the space and decide. And if you look at it that way, you will know, oh, I would never go looking for my high school yearbook. And maybe you'll let it go. For somebody else, they're going to say, absolutely. For me, I'm going to keep my high school yearbooks. I'm going to keep my 3rd grade yearbook. I love yearbooks. And that's fine, right? I can designate space to them. But if I end up in a situation where it's like, I can either keep my high school yearbook or I can keep my, my baby's diaper genie, which none of my kids need diaper genies anymore, right? I don't think I even ever had one anyway, but that, or maybe I did, whatever. That answers the question for me, right? So it's really, you give priority space to what's important to you, but right now life gets priority. Moving from multi-generational home, 3 floors, 5 bedroom, where I've lived for 33 years. Granddad passed away, so much stuff. Not sure where we end up when probate is done. How to minimize. Okay, start with the trash. Start with the easy stuff. It is very overwhelming, but it's only going to happen one item at a time anyway. And so start in the most visible spaces and just minimize. Like, start with the trash, get rid of that, make it a little bit smaller, a little bit less overwhelming, a little bit less overwhelming. And the probate thing, that sounds legally, and so I don't give advice on that, but I would, get the people who are involved in this process with you. Okay. Tips for decluttering the hard or head exploding things. That's all that's left for us, specifically home decor and hobby work related items. Well, if I say that if it's a head exploding thing, it goes. Like if it makes me feel like my head is going to explode, I just declutter it, because nothing is worth my or your head exploding, period. So there you go. But the hard things, just like the emotional things, just like the easy, whatever, everything follows the same process. If I needed this item, where would I look for it first? Okay, I'm going to take it there now. I'm going to face the reality of that space. When I get to this space, is there room for it? If there's room for it, it can stay. Great. If there's not room for it, then what am I going to get rid of to make the room for it? Oh, I don't want to get rid of anything to make the room for it? Okay, well then it doesn't deserve to be in my house and it can go. So following that same process with every last little thing. I have a video on that I did last year. So look for, just go back through my videos or search anytime that you're wanting to find a specific thing I've talked about or whatever. I would look on Google, and you can search on YouTube itself, but always do like, non-clutter stocking stuffers, Dana K. White, or A Slob Comes Clean. Put those two things together and you're going to find it. So basically, a lot of what I've said in my life is now Googleable. But yeah, I like to think of, what are the kinds of things that they need anyway, and how can I kind of level those things up? Maybe get them something a little bit nicer, but I'm sorry. I'm newly bereaved. I live alone in, is that Wyoming? Not for sure. I'm going to do my camera a little bit just for, here, you can see my cup. I live alone in Wyoming now. I have pretty bad health issues, and my children, some in, I don't know what PDX is, some in Dallas-Fort Worth, I know that, want me to move near some of them so they can take care of me. What a wonderful situation to have, right? I have a daunting amount of stuff to sort, pack, or donate. My question is how to be motivated when merely putting a dish in the empty dishwasher is just too much. I'm not sure how newly bereaved you are, but I know I've heard, kind of the 1 year rule, like give yourself permission to not make any big changes for a year, because it's just too hard, right? And so, but again, I'm not a mental health professional. I would say give yourself permission to acknowledge that there is power in the non-emotional things, to skip huge levels of things and just say, I'm not worrying about all that stuff. I am literally only going to worry about the stuff, or only going to do the things that are actual zero emotional things for me. So I'm going to look for trash, and I'm going to do what I can, and give yourself grace for what you can't. Okay. I'm sorry that you're going through that. Let's see. What's for dinner tonight? Well, I've got a kid home from college who wanted chili last night, but now he's gone away for a couple nights with his friends, and so he's not home. And so now I'm like, oh, what are we having for dinner tonight? It's crazy time right now. Okay. Let's see. Making decisions is very difficult. Yes. Remember that with my 5-step no mess decluttering process, which is in Decluttering the Speed of Life, it's in videos here. I've gone through it in different live videos you could go look at. Also get the printable. The link is in the description. we are not making hard decisions. We are basing it on instinct. The first 3 steps of the my decluttering process involves 0 decisions, and you can make a lot of progress before you ever have to make a decision. So really focus in on the fact that you can make progress before you ever have to make a decision. And then often making that progress gives you the confidence and the experience and the momentum to make the actual decisions a lot less daunting, and you feel a lot more empowered with that. Okay. All right, we've got a few more minutes. If you've asked a question and I haven't answered it, go ahead and ask it again with some question marks at the front because I might have missed it. Let's see. Please remind me how to take it there where the place has items blocking the place. Do the best that you can. Don't leave it any worse. Okay, so let's say that you're talking about the place where I would look for this first is inside that cabinet, but there is a stack of 6 boxes inside of that cabinet. I mean, in the front of that cabinet, so I can't actually get to the cabinet. Okay, I am going to put it as close as I can to that space, but I'm not going to leave this space any worse than it was before. So I'm not just going to start piling stuff there. So what is something that is equivalent in the space taking up physics of it, physical attributes of it or whatever, that I can remove that's either trash or a dead donation so that I am moving my whole house a little bit forward. So I get it as close as I can, and I take something out that is equivalent to that space that is actually going to leave my house in the donate box or the trash can or the recycling bin. And therefore I am moving my house a little bit forward, and item by item, it's going to make a big difference in your house eventually. It will. I mean, immediately. It makes it immediate because it's one thing. Just a reminder, you'll know I have to do it, right? Just a reminder about Take Your House Back. If you haven't joined it yet, this is a great time to do it because it is on sale big time, right? So aslobcomesclean.com/take is where you should go. It's my link to join the course. This is the course that I do with, let's see, I've got with Dawn from Minimal Mom and Cass from Clutterbug. And I should show you some before and after pictures, right? So here's a before from someone in the course, and here is an after. They gave us permission to use these, guys. We would not show things that people didn't give us permission to show. But yeah, great. And don't forget too, I also have coaches, right? So I have coaches who are certified in my method, and they can help you help you through the process. Most of them coach virtually if there's not one in your area. Yay, I love this. So the Take Your House Back course has changed our lives in so many amazing ways. I have absolutely loved seeing the progress that people have made. On sale until when? I believe it is January 10th. So that way, if you don't get it, you can know to go get it for yourself. I'm guessing this is y'all talking about what do I do? You know, is there any point in being in Take Your House Back if I'm not on Facebook? Absolutely, there is. There is no content that is exclusive to Facebook. Everything is uploaded into the actual course, so you do not have to be on Facebook. The only thing that you're missing out on if you're not on Facebook is the Facebook group, which you probably don't want to be in if you're not on Facebook anyway, because that's probably the reason you don't want to be on Facebook, right? So I personally don't love cheerleading. I'm just saying. But a lot of people do love it, and they get that from the Facebook group. But you absolutely have access to every bit of content in the actual thing itself. So slobcomesclean.com/take. That is my link for that. Okay. Any suggestion on what to do with bunches of old unused keys? I would donate them because that is something that a lot of crafty people use. Now, if you get to your place and they say, we don't take old keys, okay, well then stick them in recycling or whatever, if they could be recycled. I don't even know. Google it. But yeah, I would donate it to a thrift store, because that is a thing a lot of people use in crafts. I actually see that a lot in crafty kind of things. And a lot of crafters love to get their supplies at thrift stores. So, there is a Facebook group. I am personally not, I don't monitor it or anything. It's not the same as my Patreon group. It's a different thing. My Patreon group is patreon.com/theslob-comes-clean. You can join that there. Okay. How do I change out regular decor while adding Christmas decor without making a huge mess? Please help. Absolutely. Whatever box your Christmas decor is stored in, put your regular decor in that box to be stored away for the month or so that your Christmas decor is out. So that's what I do. It's like I get my Christmas stuff out and put my regular stuff into the same thing that I store my Christmas stuff in the rest of the year. Oh, that's scary. Sorry. That is very scary. I look forward to the all-day declutter in January, even though I'll be an hour behind. They have old ones in the course. Totally get so much out of it without Facebook. Yes. Let's see. I'm using your 5-step process to declutter my classroom during winter break. Game changer. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. It works in every single space. Okay. I have time for maybe one more question. I know there's questions I haven't seen. Disposable holiday plates and napkins keep creeping in. I always take a new package and then bring home the remaining ones. Okay. I would ask yourself, where would I look first for disposable plates and napkins? And let that space be the deciding factor. And putting them in that space is also the thing that's going to trigger to you. Oh yeah, that's right. I've got those. I need to use those, right? Like having that there. Keep or donate baby clothes for future kids. Well, that's the big question, right? I don't know if you're going to have future kids or not. But don't start with that. Make sure you've dealt with other stuff before you get to this, because this is generally a very emotional type of clutter. So deal with your other things first. You may open up some space to store some things for possible things in the future that you're not for sure how it's going to go. But it's all going to come down to the container concept. What space do I have in my home that I can use to store baby clothes for future kids that doesn't take up the room that my actual kids right now need to play? So like if it's, their bedroom, the kid's bedroom, and you've got, boxes and boxes and boxes of clothes that they've outgrown, that's keeping them from being able to actually live in their room or in their space, then you have to say, okay, well, what space do I have? I can devote the top of that shelf. The top shelf of that closet, I can devote to stuff for the, possible babies in the future. And then according to that space will fit a tub this big. Okay. Then I'm going to put my favorite baby clothes in there first, and whatever doesn't fit, that's what I'm going to get rid of. And so many times it's like, oh yeah, there's stained stuff that this kid never wore because so-and-so gave it to me and we didn't actually like it or whatever, or yeah, all that kind of stuff. So container concept for the win all the time. All right. I am going to, yeah, that's it. That's all I can do right now. I'm sorry. I will be here next week. Maybe. I don't know. That's the day after Christmas. Y'all, Christmas is in less than a week. What? So I might be here for Boxing Day. I might not. That's the day after Christmas, right? I always forget. But I was trying to sound cool. Okay. I will talk to y'all later. Bye. Awkward endings. That's me, right?